Hello, and welcome to Greet the Week. I am Mona Duncan, and today we're going to be talking about making a molehill out of a mountain. Have you ever have you ever bit off more than you could chew, whether that was in food or in obligations? And have you ever? Let me share the screen here and pull it all the way up so you can see. So, have you ever been guilty of making an issue bigger than it really is? Would you like some thoughts on how to reduce those mountains down to a little molehill, one that is manageable? Well, this is just a few thoughts on being an effective leader, kind of going hand in hand with the lead management. And how often do you agree with Sir Winston Churchill whenever he said, I always loved to learn, but sometimes I hated being taught. So I haven't put the automation to this. I'm just now realizing that, but that's okay. We'll go with it as is. So here is a point underneath there of being an effective leader, because these thoughts are based on my input and my understanding of lead management that was coined by Dr. William Glasser, the founder of reality therapy and choice theory. And to me, lead management is a premise to show, to teach, to instruct, and to assist in self evaluating, learning how to do something or understand something. It also is effective. Lead management is to be an effective leader. And in looking at the different thoughts of what does it mean to be effective, I see it as being an example, as being something that leads towards success. It's something that is useful, that is helpful, that is valuable, that is good. It's applicable, and it even is efficient. And whether that is inefficient in being more, uh, getting more done in a more efficient way. I mean, I don't know another word to put for efficient. But then also, and who are the people who can become an effective leader? Well, parents, teachers, business leaders, employees. And the bottom line is that everyone can. And it's as we begin to look at that there are situations that can be looked at and seen in a different way that would be more effective. So, in looking around, I see that there are basically three levels of leading, or those that whom we choose to follow because of their leadership. And one is if we are impressed by them. And this can be someone that we read about them, or we view them on TV, or we, watch them play a sports from a distance. But we are impressed with their knowledge and their abilities and so forth. But the relationship or relating with one another is really not all that necessary, because we're just levels of leading is the fact that they are a leader and we appreciate what they do and applaud them and so forth. And their accomplishments are pretty much understood if they had that gift and that talent. Another level of leadership is those influencers. Now, for someone to be an influencer, we need to be a little bit closer to them. And that can be either emotionally, or it can be as in identifying with what their position of influence is. But the contact or the engagement needs to be a little bit more constant. If it's someone that's really influencing us, to keep reading their books, to keep attending their, and then there are those leaders that make an impact on us. And that is from our parents and our siblings, all the way through our cousins and everybody on planet Earth that we've ever had an engagement with of any kind. And to make an impact and to be impactful, it needs to be more frequent, more intense, more relatable, and have that spirit of and an attitude of let's connect. So here's just a few thoughts that I have come up with on what I see. Maybe it's myself personally, and I have a tendency to expand it to philosophies of effective leaders. I don't know if everyone thinks this, but these are definitely my thoughts. That to lead effectively, we need to realize that people matter. And to have this ongoing goal of, I want to connect with you. And I want to connect with you because I have placed you into my quality world. If I hadn't before, then I am now. And I want to become a part of your quality world so that we can have mutual engagements. Another one of my philosophies is to be real and authentic, to realize that this is life. It's not a dress rehearsal, it's the real thing. Even though our realities of it is pretty much how we painted it, how we see it, as opposed to how it really may be. Also, it's having the philosophy of no hidden agendas. I want to be as open and honest and forthright as I know how at this moment and continually learn how to be open, honest, and forthright. Also, effective leadership is understanding that the only person we have any influence or control over is ourselves. And that the more in control we are of our own individual thoughts and our own attitudes and our own actions, then the less controlling we will automatically be of others. And then always, always, my main philosophy is carry the message, not the person. I don't have enough strength. I can't carry you. I even have a little kitty that has been attacked by a stray cat and keeps beating him up. And I have such empathy for that little kitty. I bring him in at night, but he gets out and still gets in fights. But you carry the message, and the message is I'm going to keep you in the house for a while until this other stray is gone. But anyway, if we carry the message, not the person, everyone has their own identity, they have their own way they see things and the way they will respond to. So, in carrying the message of what we share with someone, is that we have a responsibility to the individual, but we are not responsible for the individual and for their choices or for their outcomes or for their decisions. And then here's just some thoughts that I came up with, and you may want to look at them and kind of check them off mentally as some of the qualities of an effective leader. And at the very end, I have a little self-evaluation for all of us. So we might kind of do that here with this. In our being a leadership, in being a leader, whether it's a parent or whomever or a neighbor, how patient are we? How encouraging? How long-suffering? What about being objective and kind and compassionate? Or having that being willing to listen to understand as opposed to just getting the hurry up and get through so then I can say something. Being empathetic and consistent, being non-judgmental. How effective are we at being firm yet kind? Firmness shows respect for yourself. Now, here's a boundary and you're not crossing it. Kindness shows respect to the person to whom we are setting that firm boundary. And then looking about, what are on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being the star and 5 being the lesser. What about being non-judgmental or positive or setting boundaries and enforcing those boundaries, being congruent? And so then some healthy steps to carefronting. I have 8 of them. To my definition, I use the word carefronting instead of confronting. Do you ever want to confront someone? Instead of confronting them, I want to care enough that it's time to address this particular issue. And so one is to work through my own anger, to work through your own anger, to wait long enough before bringing up the situation that there needs to be some correction there, or hopefully can be, that you can wait long enough that you can be objective, but be short enough that you don't prevent harm, in that they just scratch their head and don't even have a clue about what you're talking about when you do bring it up. So work through your anger. Number two is to care enough. My definition of carefronting is I care enough about you, about me, about this situation to confront the issues. And so point number two is to initiate the contact, to be upfront, to go and talk with the person. And whether you are the offender or the offended, because a lot of times people have been the offended one and they want to address someone, but they just shy to do that. But you make the contact and let them know there's something I really need to talk with you about, and let's set an appointment, because you want to do it in a place that is compatible. Then number three is addressing the issue in privacy. Again, we want to be and begin with an affirmation of, I value you as a human being. I value you as your workforce. I value you as my offspring. And to get permission from the person to make a challenge. Uh, and then number four is to communicate the issue from your point of view, that this is something that has been concerning me, and I'd like to discuss it with you. Admit that you have wrestled with the problem and that you need some understanding, and then seek clarification. Give them the benefit of the doubt, to give freedom to their honor, and then give them to give freedom. Be willing enough to hear what they have to say, to listen to their honest input. And then also invite them to share from their point of view. And in the meantime, you might want to jot down something that they have said that you want to be sure that you remember. Maybe you remember a lot better than I do these days and age. To jot down that information so as they speak, and to listen without preconceiving judgment. Don't interrupt, be gracious, and allow the person to be honest and open with you. 6 is to see if it is possible to reach some kind of a resolve, to find some common ground. That compromise can be an opinion. Really, that compromise is an opinion more than it is a principle. And we want to be flexible on preferences and opinions rather than trying to make them an absolute principle. And agreeing to disagree is a resolve. I mean, whether it is political or whether it is spiritual or whether it is about books, I mean, whatever it is about, you can agree to disagree. And continuing to hold the person in high regard, that really is a resolve. You can agree with, you can disagree with me, and I'm okay with that. I still value you as a person. 7 is to ask for and to receive forgiveness as needed. Always be willing to give. Yeah, I'll give you a do-over, I'll give you another chance, as well as to receive that do-over or a second chance if we need to. And then we need to kind of begin to leave it behind. Anytime we want to change things, if you're going through town and you look in the rearview mirror, the more you keep going, the more far away what you were dealing with is there. So move past it. I have written on there, get over it, but I think moving past it is a lot more simple than get over it. And shake hands if needed. And then always, point number 8 is a firm support of the person in their contribution to you. So here is the little self-evaluation. When I think of my leading responsibilities, what do you feel? If I know my own wisdom heart, my motive behind managing is The greatest hindrance, point three, the greatest hindrance to being an effective leader is. What's some of those hindrances to leading others? Is it having the courage? Is it having the boldness? Is it having the patience? Kind of goes back up to those words that we were ascribing a 1 to 5 value system to. Point number 4, describe a mentor or a model or someone who stands out vividly in your mind as an effective leader and why. And then point number 5, in self-evaluating. What are 3 important things you can accomplish as a leader, as a compassionate leader? And so these are from food for thought and for self-evaluation. And I have a poem that I want to read to you, one that I have written. And then when we close this out, we can discuss some of those self-evaluating questions or comments with each other. I entitled it The Wonder of It All. When you're down in the dumps, as you sometimes are, and your dreams and goals seem so afar, and you want to stand, but you seem to fall, stop and consider the wonder of it all. It is adversity that makes us strong. It's stones in the brook that creates the song. Without night, the sun would seem dim, and thorns are found on the rose's stem. It's a backwards, crazy, mixed up law when you stop and consider the wonder of it all. To rise yourself, lift another up. To have a sweet spirit, drink a bitter cup. To lead, follow. To get, give. By becoming altruistic, you begin to live. It's the greatest mystery you ever saw when you stop and consider the wonder of it all. Roots grow deepest in the winter's frost, and the rewards far outweigh the cost. All the struggles of life really are worthwhile, and someday just may bring a smile as you stand on the pinnacle and recall the thrill, the challenge, the wonder of it all. Well, thank you for being here, and many blessings.